Hello and shalom, my sweet cookies. Today I wanted to talk about globalist conquest ideas that are now running and quite woke, and where they're. And I'm unfortunate because I'm born in Germany and in the Jew have twice to compare to the blueprint of totalitarianism, which made the effects. Yeah, because that are motivations why people act is their belief system. About submarines, electric cars, and how Macron shot his own foot with his own ideologies, and now he is sulking towards America. Things that Joe Biden can think.
200 million people have died, probably by the time I finish this talk.
So there we have globalism, which believe in shrinking markets also, or as Alcott's only think inside the box. And then we have the old-fashioned communism with the revolution of all the proletarian, which simply didn't happen. So Lenin wrote then "What now?" in which he said, "Yeah, because the proletarian, all people are dumb, but I'm so intelligent, I make a revolution for them." And as to give them a little bit more speed, there had been two people. One, Dugashvili, who wasn't Russian, but called himself the best Russian, and made an artificial setting where may have to make a nationalism of different aspects of every country that I will simply swallow and call it the Soviet identity. And there was an Austrian who was German who also said also from all the 16 kingdoms we make a mix unity of German nationalism, which also in both wanted to conquer the globe. Or an dem deutschen Wesen soll die Welt genesen, which means the world is sick and we have the cure and take some boosters. Communism doesn't work very well if you look at it because it's a stupid idea, which only Marx wrote after he didn't get pocket money anymore with 40. And the shrinking markets, it sounds most funny, sad but funny. Again, if we go to the größter Feldherr aller Zeiten, Greffat Adolf, who says, "Tief der Boden hatte nicht genug Wurst und Käse, dies Volk zu ernähren." Which you can translate in, well, the earth doesn't produce enough cheese and sausages, and we need sausages to nourish the people. The idea is they have only some item and it will work less, and they have nothing. It's like you have only this, I don't know, $1,000 or $1,000 on your account, and then you have to spend, and then you have no money, and maybe you could work. Never. How can I have this idea that creating something new is not plagiarism? Would think somebody who, for example, steals an idea about electronics and makes from this his image in Microsoft. By the way, led to a competition between the computers, and that's why everybody has a computer, why I can make this video. So, if with a little bit humility, genius. Without humility, sorry. Yeah, it's like maybe Mengele was a good doctor before he killed everybody. Or like Macron said, that Petain was a good soldier, just killed so many French people. Okay. And this Macron is, for example, in the Goalkeepers Association, which is from Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is very invested in health. For example, he invested when he was against the, what is called, quick forward. So he invested in Pfizer Inc., the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She divorced him because he didn't like that he visited so often Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Island. And at this time, he also started having the idea that we are too many people and we have to get less and lose 1 billion people. But before he lost the plot, there was something to support the development of a group B Streptococcus GBS vaccine, which is a good thing. Yeah? 17,200,052,854 dollars. He invested therefore in Pfizer, which is a very stand-up company since they invented Viagra. Sorry. Okay. That's maybe why they want that everybody has to penetrate you with a booster. So, this world population things doesn't work. maybe I should make an extra video, but I give you an example. We are mammals. Our body are mammals. But we do strange things that we can't explain. For example, why do we have, after in former wars, we had only male soldiers that had been killed in war, because war kills people. And then the other women that survived, the future children they had been more boys than girls. Why? Nobody knows. And you say, maybe political ideology. Okay, can you teach an ideology to wolves? I don't think so. For example, in Switzerland, they had one was here. I have here something open in the 19. What is in days? In the beginning of 1900, they killed every wolf, because hungry wolves kill everything because they are hungry. Yeah? And they killed also when nothing else helped human beings. And so then there had been no wolves, and the problem that the ungulates, simply deer, something like Bambi, they made too much damage to the trees due to, isn't that how you call it in English? You have such a weird language. It's due to excessive browsing by game. They thought, maybe if we have many deer, it's because we took the wolves away. And now they made a depopulation program of wolves. Yeah? And now they had too many deers. So what's about another deer population program, this time for the deers, to reintroduce the wolves? And the result was that there had been much more damage to the forest, because the deer somehow, they didn't get more relations, nor romantic to each other, but somehow the reproduction was more successful, because they had always to be afraid of the wolf, and so you had more deer. So it's like you have they kill 80 million people with famine, because they want to sell the nutrition for arms, because your steel program didn't work, which was the case in Mao Zedong. And we have an imbalance of population. It bounces back into the other direction, because of different things, more things than I can imagine. And then you say, okay, and now because of the depopulation program, we do a second depopulation program with a one-child policy, and then everybody is. Then you have much more older people than younger people, and somehow you don't have girls, because every abortion program somehow targets more baby girls. Maybe that's why certain kind of female says, oh, yeah, abortion is good because I don't like competition. Depopulation, simply social engineering, any kind of human breeding is evil. If you want to make a totally wild race like in Lebensborn, or a totally mixed race, which is totally sensitive. What were you want to freshen the genetics? Really? If you look at the genetics, count all the molecules that make the difference between you and your twin sister, if you have one. And then you take only this part of account, only these molecules that look somebody more Afro-American than Caucasian. Guess what? It's much less molecules that make the difference between Caucasian and being black than between your twin sisters. So it's not so refreshing for the genetics after all. Maybe you should look at the personality, but personality you can't compare if you are shopping for people in certain apps. But shopping for people, wasn't there not like shopping, like auction for, slavery, and this didn't work out. Maybe this time it does, little girlies. Uh, so, but this is still the idea of Bill Gates and his brethren, like Macron, and he was first a banker, yeah, and now besides being a banker, being very interested in this idea, I save the world by declaring how the world has to do, which never is a good idea, because you can't be as intelligent as billions of brains, which you can connect with the interface, which is called talking. However, dear Google, I believe in man-made climate change. Galileo, Galileo! Therefore, we have to pollute more the planet to save the earth by producing like more silica, cobalt mines, high stable toxic resins for the wind turbines, and for Germany we have to make generators. That's why you shouldn't use diesel in your car, because when there's no sun, diesel generator. It's good for the. It's a very there is it's how it's called. It's a very famous Greek school of philosophy which is called hypocrisy. And in this hypocrisy, so they want to make more electric cars, because just happens that everything you need for electric cars is only built in China, because producing it causes erosion, and you take off lots, you use a lot of fresh water, and it has a terrible impact to the nature, and it saves more the nature if you don't do it in front of the door of Chinese people, because if you criticize the CCP, that's bad, but Chinese people.
And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the way, he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
For electrical vehicles, if it makes sense, if you want to sell cars in China, and China doesn't have petrol itself, but it can produce with coal much energy that can load into electrical vehicles, where they can make batteries by polluting the earth. And you have many people that can buy cars. That is the thought. And if people die, overpopulation. There is an enterprise that wanted it's called Navistar. Navistar made a new motor which is called Eco Motors Opok engine. Eco means you produce vast amounts of battery acid, and as Akath said that 2 years ago, in 10 years, the how dare you world will die. So when the battery takes 8 years, it takes forever. Who cares afterwards for the planet? I do. Who now invested a lot of these electric motors? Bill Gates. He liked the electric cars, can be cool. So now it turns around. There you have to understand how looks Chinese Communist Party now. At the moment, they have a hard time, because they had tried to become the most powerful industry by being ruthless to their own population and to the environment where they live. Evergrande Immobilia, which had this grandiose idea to make lots of buildings with the consistency of tofu, which imploded. And then they had this idea, like before when I talked with the wolves, it was a one-child policy. Now we have lots of old people, because if two people have only one child, you have the double of old people. And in every kind of abortion program, many baby girls are killed. If you look at statistics, infanticide, the majority of infanticide are committed by their own mothers. And that's why we say it's the female side to nurture. And I'm, as an ex-fetus, very thankful to my mother that she took me to term. So the Chinese party has now many males, many old people. Suddenly comes an illness out, which especially kills old people. Really accident. And so, but they have too many men and not enough wives for them. Then you should get wives elsewhere, while also diminishing the male population. This is called war. And they started to, for example, Hong Kong two systems, swallowed it. The Indian border with us also that's why China makes also a contract with Iran and Pakistan, because then they have surrounded India. And they also says reunification with Taiwan. reunification shown by bombs, so like aggression. The problem with taking Taiwan, which would be the first step because the people there are Chinese people and looks better than before taking India, is that Australia would be back Taiwan, because if you have Taiwan, the next to this is Japan, and the next thing to swallow geometrically is Australia. So Australia ordered submarines from France, and France said, yeah, let's build it. We have an enterprise. It came from Germany, Maschinenwerke Augsburg, Nuremberg, MAN, and they make diesel motors for submarines. Thing was that, you remember Navistar? Navistar was bought by a consortium which is called Triton. Triton also bought Volkswagen, and Volkswagen bought MAN. Now, if the part of Triton that has Navistar, if Triton wants with Navistar, sell to the Chinese market, it wouldn't be too pleasing to the Chinese Communist Party to build weapons for those who stand in the way to taking over Taiwan. And so it took time and more time until everything was built. And also Macron was saying, what, Volkswagen is now buying that? You built the diesel machines. Guy, you can common things with our goalkeeper things, and the people there with the electric cars. The electric car comes from your global goalkeeper guru. Yeah? And of course, at a certain time, you have the choice, maybe for the goalkeeper globalization ideology, it would be a nice idea to be first swallowed by communism, instead of we want our own totalitarianism where you own nothing and be happy, like Klaus Schwab says. And this was shooting in his own foot. He wants to make an alliance to Bill Gates and everything how eco looks like for him, with the shrinking market theory that you have we have less, and we have to simply save for ourselves the earth by taking from others. And then he was offended and is sulking. First off, why are you sulking? If you are sulking because there are no diesel machines, you had to insist more to make in diesel machines. He didn't want that because he didn't want to offend the OPEC motors in Navistar, which would belong to Triton. And at what time, what do you think? That people say, oh yeah, so that you look good to us and to Bill Gates and the Chinese community, then we roll over and die. I mean, Australia is now preparing its population to be taken over by the Chinese by being so totalitarian that the Chinese will look like liberty.